Hi, and welcome to BizTech's APAC Cybersecurity Show. Every week, we update you on the latest threats and incidences to help you to protect yourself better. Today is a special show, though, where we take a look at cybersecurity to a much more political and policy driven lens. And with me is my regular co host, Benjamin Ang. He's the head of Cyber and Homeland Defense at the Center of Excellence for National Security at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies at the Nanyang Technological University out of Singapore. Ben, as always, great to have you on the show.
As always, good to be here, Brian.
Now, Ben, for a start now, as we said, we're going to take a more global look at what's happening in the cybersecurity space. And we start with the announcement of that King Salman of Saudi Arabia has ordered the establishment of a global cybersecurity forum institute in Saudi Arabia. Now, that's in itself is quite interesting, and because of course Saudi Arabia is now in the forefront of a lot of things happening in the Middle East. It's opening up its doors, but there's also the politics around the situation. Perhaps you can enlighten us a little bit around the politics around the cybersecurity space.
Sure, Brian. The thing is that so far, all the efforts to try and form rules about how cyberspace is governed and how the rules of engagement between countries are has been dominated by major cyber powers like the US, Europe, Russia, China. And efforts like this by Saudi Arabia, who is not a major cyber power, are good because it's an alternative voice. Just like ASEAN is working through the UN Singapore Cyber Program to do capacity building for Southeast Asia, these efforts are all good to let the other countries, the rest of us, 180 plus countries, to have some say in how rules are made. And the Middle East is a very special region as well because some of the countries don't really get along with other countries in the region, and in that case, they want their rules have to be particular to take into account that your neighbor may not be so friendly in cyber terms.
And so this is an interesting dimension, right? In the commercial space, we don't think about all of this. But when you talk about nation states, these are really issues that are really day to day issues because friends are literally spying on friends.
Yes, that happens, and sometimes friends may turn against each other if there is a cyber attack, or they think that they've been attacked by a friend when actually it's actually somebody else impersonating that friend. And that's something that I know the Middle Eastern states have been concerned about in cyberspace. So they want to make sure that everybody in the region approaches this with a cool head and has real proper rules of engagement, so that nobody jumps and escalates things.
Now, when we think about cybersecurity on a national scale, we often think of the CIA and the NSA. So, the NSA is the National Security Agency of the US, and it has just released its best practices to secure remote access software. Now, together with the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the Multi State Information Sharing Analysis Center, as well as the Israeli National Cyber Doctorate, they publicly released a guide to securing remote access software, their cybersecurity information sheet. Now, Ben, tell us more about this and what are the key takeaways around this?
Hey, remote access software is something that's used by a lot of companies. If you need somebody to fix your computer systems without having to turn up at your office, very often we use a lot of remote access software. So yes, look at these best practices. If you can implement them, they are available free. So don't complain that you're a small or medium business without the funds. Just look at them and see what you can do. And if you can't do it themselves, get help to get them done. Because hey, the NSA knows what they're doing. Listen to all those people there, right? They are actually the top hackers in the world, along with the Israelis, right? They hack people through these things. They probably made use of these exploits for months already, and decided they better protect their own countries by letting the businesses know. So at the very least, get yourself protected on these. Mm.
Now, on a much lighter note and a much more positive note, um, there we want to take a look at job creation because we've had these conversations before. in this show about the talent, global talent shortage of cybersecurity professionals. And the likes of Accenture are trying to solve this problem. Now, they've just announced the launch of its Cyber Million program in partnership with the Immersive Labs, which is a cybersecurity upskilling company. The initiative is an effort to solve the global deficit of skilled cybersecurity professionals. And it looks at basically upskilling to fill 1 million entry level cybersecurity jobs. Now, Ben, tell us about this, and what is its potential impact?
Well, Brian, the jobs are there, and I hope that people will take up this training since it's free, especially right, and it's also endorsed by Accenture, and it's going to be a training in NIST standards, which are like kind of industry best practices. So if you take this, it gives you a good chance of getting that entry level job that they're talking about. Now, of course, HR departments of companies also need to be aware that they can't be putting out job requirements that say they need 5 years of experience in XYZ when XYZ has only been around for 3 years. So
Exactly.
companies also have to be sensible, and you can't expect a 10-year experienced person to come in for an entry level job. So work hand in hand, make use of the resources. If you're worried that AI is going to take your job, and it could very well take your job, then quickly retrain, because these are spaces still that human beings are needed a
And
lot.
so this is an interesting thing, isn't it? So it's an opportunity of, say, for example, and let's look at a Singapore context. A lot of people, and it happens quite regularly in an ageist society like Singapore, where people in their 40s or early 50s then get displaced from their jobs and can't get an equivalent high level job. The way around it is then to retrain on these emerging technologies and then ride the next wave in terms of competency and capability.
I'll definitely say from the supply side that works. And from the demand side, companies also need to look beyond the surface things like a person's age, and to say, are they willing to try out the entry level job at with the new skills, and to give them the opportunity. And it's very possible that they will shine in the new opportunity, bringing the experience from a previous field.
Now, Ben, on that note, that's it for this week's APAC Cybersecurity Show. Thanks for coming on the show, Ben.
Always happy to.
Now, we've been speaking to Benjamin Ang, Head of Cyber and Homeland Defense at the Center of Excellence for National Security at NTU, on BizTech's APAC Cybersecurity Show. I'm Brian Fernandez. Please check out this show on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.